Good evening, viewers at home. Thank you for joining us at the Pundits today, being Monday, the 12th of July, 2021. Joining me in the studio to look at some of the issues that have dominated the Nigerian political landscape in the last couple of weeks and in the last couple of days is Mr. Oluku Bienusi Matthew. Mr. Matthew.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome. Looking at some of the news headlines that have dominated the political landscape in the last couple of days, it is worrisome that the state actors who are supposed to be the custodian of the legal institution, as well as those who are supposed to take care of the security and lives and properties of the people, have really not done much in order to curtail some of the insecurities that have affected the populace, as well as the killing that has characterized the Nigerian political landscape. In looking at some of these headlines, we will be doing justice by also opening our comment section to viewers at home who want to comment or probably have their opinions known to some of these issues. But whichever way, we'll be starting with the first headlines, which is an excerpt from one of the news dailies we had to extract today. And the headline itself talks about the role of the Fulani in terms of open grazing. To start with, the first headline we have is talking about open grazing ban. There will be no peace, Fulani groups warns Southern governor. There will be no peace, Fulani groups warn Southern governor. That is in relation to the position of the Southern governors who had a meeting as of last week and have picked September 21 as the deadline to when the implementation of the open grazing would take effect. The anti-open grazing laws will take effect in cuts across all the states in the southern region. Moving ahead from that, we're looking at foreign investors' interest in Nigeria declines. That is, foreign investors have declined tremendously as a result of their interest in terms of maybe economic or in terms of entrepreneur as well as investment in the country. The interest dropped by 27.5%. Moving away from that headline, we're looking at Southwest Governor propose 6th region, demand local government autonomy, resource control. Southwestern Governor proposed 6 regions, probably related to the 1963 kind of operation whereby the regional government had control of its own region, and as well as local government autonomy and as well as resource control. Those are some of the postulation from the Southwestern Governor. Moving away from that, we're moving down to the international scene where we're looking at South Africa. South Africa faces 4th day of unrest after Zuma's jailing. 4th day of unrest after Zuma jailing. Then we're also looking at another headline, Oduduwa irrevocable. No going back on agitation. This is credited to the Yorubas in diaspora, saying that no going back on agitation. The Yoruba in diaspora backs Igboho on that. Moving away from that, we're looking at the statement credited to NAFDAC, and it says, sanitizers with methanol can blind, kill you. Sanitizers with methanol can blind, kill you. Leaving that headline, we're also looking at arrest of Nigerians. NANS, the National Association of Nigerian Students, threatens face up with Benin Republic citizens in Ogun State. The National Association of Nigerian Students threatens face off with Benin Republic citizens in Ogun State. While we're looking at the last headline, but not the least, is a statement credited to a Senator Aline Dume, which tangles with that of the PDP, which says that PDP Ndume tangle over transmission of poll result. PDP Ndume tangles over transmission of poll results. So, Mr. Matthew will be looking at the first headline, which says that open grazing ban, there will be no peace. Fulani group warns Southern governor. Looking at the action of the government, as well as the Southern governors, when I mean the action of the government, the action of the federal government in particular, as well as the action of the Southern governors, as a result of the atrocities, the kidnapping, the killing, the raping, and sort of being perpetrated by the Fulani S-men, which resulted in the action of the Southern governors, as well as some middle belts like Benue State, for example, also did something similar by enacting the anti-open grazing act in their state. Then looking at the reaction of some of the northern elites, as well as the Fulani group. What do you make of this? Because prior to this time, there was a statement that anti-open grazing bill probably will not allow the South to produce presidency, while some other key northerners has also said it is against the constitution, it cannot work. Then now we're seeing another set of people coming out again to say, oh, there will be no peace. What are we looking at? Are we not moving towards a state of anarchy? Or
thank you very much. Once again, thank you for having me.
You're welcome, sir.
I think that statement accredited to that group of Fulani personalities is a calculated attempt to cow, to intimidate the southern governors. And I salute the courage of the southern governors under the leadership of the Ondo State Governor, the person of Rotimi Akeredolu, and I encourage them to stand resolute in their decision. And I encourage every House of Assembly in the southern part of the country to make good their position on or before 25th of September this year. Let it be that they have all promulgated laws banning open grazing. But again, I think it is because of the body language of the executive, the federal government. I think that is what is energizing the Fulani personalities. Because we have seen a situation where the federal government is opposed to anything that has to do with against open grazing. But whether it is immaterial, the position of the executive at the federal level and the perspective from which the Fulani people are seeing it, it's a function of the law. And we are on a constitutional democracy. Whether we like it or not, the states, the way it stands, are legally recognized federating units in Nigerian structure. So if the 17 states in the southern part of the country go through their respective states House of Assembly and come up with a law banning open grazing, it behoves on the police to enforce the law. It is immaterial whether the police is comfortable with the law or not. So for me, I think one, it is a calculated attempt to intimidate the southern governors. That is where I now encourage them to make good their position, to ensure that on or before that deadline, all the State House of Assembly in the South come up with that promulgation. Let us now see what the people who are issuing threats, what they want to do. Let us see where their strength lies. Let us see how they will stop the police from enforcing the law. And let us see how they will stop the state from prosecuting whoever tried to violate the law.
So if I have to come in that regards, do you see the police with the current structure we have to implement such laws? Because there was a particular scenario in Oyo State, to be precisely, I think in Barakpar local government, if I'm not wrong, where the Amotekun officers had to arrest a Fulani header and took the person to the police station. The police officer, in person of the DPO, shot the Amotekun officer. I'm
not unaware of the scenario you just...
So, no, I'm just trying to relate that what you just said. Do you think this same policing structure would really do justice by looking at the issue holistically?
I was coming to that.
Okay.
I'm not unaware of the issue you cited. Don't forget that there's strength in unity. And we are now talking about Southern Governors Forum. 17 governors for that matter. So the way it stands, even the government, the federal government, is not comfortable with the unity, with the harmonious relationship of the Southern governors currently. So in a way, even if the police is not comfortable with the position of the Southern governors, if they unanimously come up respectively in their respective states with that law, the police, whether they like it or not, will enforce the law, because it will be a recipe for crisis. It will be a recipe for anarchy. And the way it stands, if, for instance, the whole Southern governors come up to issue a press statement telling the world that the federal government through Nigerian police is refusing to enforce a law duly enacted by State House of Assembly, of course, that will even be a genuine reason if people start calling for secession. So I think the government, federal government, will tread carefully, and the police, the way it stands, will have no choice rather than to enforce the law.
Okay.
When eventually enacted.
Okay, so looking at the statement and the counter statement of what has been happening, is it not obvious that we are more of a different people if we have to be critical in some of this analysis as a nation?
To be quite honest with you, Nigeria by providence is created different personalities beyond the three major ethnic groups. But for the purpose of this discussion, I will just limit it to three major ethnic groups. So if you look at by providence, there are some unifying factors that is beyond human determination. You just discover that that is the way nature wants it, or that is the way God wants it. Now, you look at issues, things like culture, language, religion. Look at the northern part of the country, their language. Look at the southeastern part of the country, the platform where the people will discuss and decide how do we want to coexist going forward. But unfortunately, we have not gotten that opportunity.
Okay, so Mr. Matthew, I haven't seen the level of insecurity because I haven't read the news from the group, the Fulani group. There was really no solution in terms of providing solutions, long-lasting solutions. And now that brings to the question: is it that these people are not conversant with the current agricultural pattern that talks about ranching?
You see,
that's another question. Or is there that there's a calculative motive behind this?
They are not unaware of ranching. I think what is playing out is they want easy way out of the present situation.
You think it's an easy way? Because some people have alleged that
easy way is this.
Sorry, I'm coming. Some people have alleged that it's not about easy way. When you look at the economic benefits of ranching, because you're taking cattle, it far outweighs open grazing. So do you think it's an easy way when you have a conversation whereby the advantage of something is more than the disadvantage, and people are still going for the one that is disadvantageous?
Okay,
so do you think? Sorry, I'm coming. Do you think it's an easy way, or there's a motive? Because it's making it look as if there's more to this.
It is neither here nor there. It depends on how you argue it. But
no. Looking at the antecedent of what has transpired and the war of the Fulani, the claiming of territories, so you can't disconnect all in totality, irrespective of how you're looking at it. From the perspective of those who have said there's more to it, do you think it's an easy way?
I see who want to go out, continue maintaining the status quo.
Sorry.
Because if you look at the issue of open grazing, nomadic life, that is what the Fulani man is known for.
Not only the Fulani man in Nigeria.
I agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with you.
And some have moved on, like Ghana.
I agree with you. The problem with Nigerian situation is you have a government who is partial, who is biased, that is biased. Ordinarily, the right thing to do was to make a policy banning open grazing, then roll out fund for ranching. Though personally, I'm against federal government bankrolling ranching. But that notwithstanding, if for purpose of resolving the issue, if government should bankroll ranching, whoever is committed to ranch his cow will pay rent, and federal government will leverage on the rentage to recoup its investment. But having said that, if you look at nomadic life, it's synonymous with the Fulani man. And this they have been doing over the years. I think they find it difficult to adopt a new system of life, a new approach to rearing cow, irrespective of the enormous value chain attached to ranching. For me, I think the average Fulani man feel intimidated being asked to jettison his old way of rearing cow.
Really?
So I think that best explains why the average Fulani man want to resist it. But again, the Fulani man should understand that the land, going by the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, does not belong to him. The Fulani man should understand that the land in Lagos, in Bayelsa, in Enugu, in Kano, in Adamawa, sit under the purview of the trust for the people. So you cannot come all the way from Burkina Faso, all the way from Mali, all the way from Niger, for instance, into Nigerian soil, and you are claiming in the name of nomadic life, you settle anywhere you feel like, and you want to do your normal business of open grazing. It's no longer fashionable, and it's not acceptable by any standard in the modern day cattle rearing. So it is irrespective of anybody's opinion. It's no longer fashionable in the modern day cattle rearing. That is the situation.
Okay, moving away from the statement credited to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in person of Mr. Godfrey Oyema, he said that foreign investors' interest in Nigeria declined by 27.5%. In his statement, he said Nigeria received about 8.4 billion investment announcement as at 4th March 2021, out of which 5.4 were pledged by foreign investors. The remaining 2.8 was promised by domestic investors. Statistics shows obtained from the Nigerian Investment Promotion showed the sum pledged by foreign investors in first quarter of 2021 is 27.5% lower than $7.54 billion. That's 7 billion, about 554 million. Now, that was the foreign investment announcement recorded by the NIPC in the preceding quarter. However, the first quarter foreign investment profile was 36.5% higher than the 4.02 reported in the corresponding period in 2020, but was 56.6% lower than the 12.6 billion recorded in the same period in 2019. So looking at the trajectory from 2019 to 2020, it was declining. That was how they arrived at the declining rate of 27.5%. So what do we see? Is it not showing that the action directly or indirectly of the government to foreign investors is really affecting?
The truth is this: there are multi-factors that is causing it. But again, I think the chief part of it is, what do you expect of a government that have not hidden its disdain for rule of law? We are talking of foreign direct investment into the economy. People who come into the economy to invest, there are so many factors they put into consideration. How, to what extent do you allow the rule of law to prevail? Don't forget that only recently, Twitter